All right, my friends, here we go. We're going to start at the top today, work our way down. So our highest graduate this week is Enough Material, who it looks like has graduated muchos times before, but I don't know this person. We're going to follow him. And you can see all these beautiful little belts they've accrued, getting darker and darker colored. In any case, they have not done their tactics rating. They haven't done anything. This person hasn't done anything. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, I don't quite know what's going on here. They got a bunch of belts. They got some games. No games. So I don't know what's going on. Enough Material. I don't know, but I hope to see you again with some more work done. Ooh, here, actually, this is interesting. I closed out the wrong window because I'm a boomer GM. This is my student Jamil is playing this game here. He told me not to watch it though, so we're not going to watch it. He's like, it's not a good game. Anyways, it's kind of interesting though, right? Anyways, there we go. So he was winning, then he wasn't winning, and then he was winning again, and who knows what's going on now. So back to this. And next up we have Matt Chess. Matt Chess says, took me quite some time to break through a ChessCom rapid plateau. I want to just say, actually, like once you get up to this rating, 15, 16 normalized, it's hard. You should expect to be there for a while, unless you're just, somehow new to the game and flying through the stuff. I found myself losing on time frequently and also suffering from tactical oversights and botched endgames. Tools, structure, recommendations, and most importantly, the community at the dojo have helped me tremendously in my practical play. Huge fan of the metrics that track our progress is a big motivator for me. The addition of the tactics tests came just in time for me and clearly show I need to keep at it. Great, we're adding more and more to that, buddy. As an adult improver who played some OTB in the past, but who has spent the last few years focused on correspondence play, my skill set for practical play OTB is in need of remedial work. Perhaps this was most evident in endgames. The classical games and game analysis have been a highlight for me, and appreciate all the opponents who took the time for postmortems and exchanging analysis later. Special shout out to Gibbs 1976, sparred with me some endgame positions. Okay, great. This is beautiful. So I'm going to open a Correctamundo here. 55 years young. Nice. Okay, good. Now, so the first thing we'll do is we'll go to that tactics rating. So there you go. And, well, look, he did great on the tactics tests and needs some work on this stuff, and then got this as a Polgar mate score. So then when we contrast that with his rating, basically the rating, tactics test rating look good. Now, one of the things about this is really the tactics test rating should only show up after 3 tests. But, we wanted to get people started. So I don't know how many tests this is. I do feel pretty strongly, though, that once you take 3 tests, that will give you a really good indication of where you are tactically. Okay, so super cool. And we'll go back up. There's a USCF. USCF more in line over here. And we'll go clubs. Oh, look at this. The e-board thing is really interesting to me. I feel like that's a new wave in the chess world. I don't have one yet, but I'm a late adopter in everything in life. So Matt did 402 hours. What non-dojo stuff? Correspondence chess and all this rapid. Okay, engine sparring, guess the move. All right. That's great. That's great. Okay, so now we're going to see a game from Matt. Let's see what we're dealing with here. Let's choose by default the most recent one. And we'll mark it as reviewed because Boomer GM always forgets that. And we're dealing with somebody who at least their opponent, like they just stopped thinking on move 24. Maybe the game's technically over then. We'll find out. How's Jamil doing? Oh, it's getting frisky over here. It's getting frisky. Okay, so here we go. Right, this move is plausible. C5 is a thing. Here in my course, I recommended DC5 for white. But okay. C3, now I just want to say I don't like C3 for white. I'm sure it's playable. But the problem here is that black can get a good French. And it looks like that's what you are getting. Right? Good, good. Perhaps we would have transposed into similar had I played bishop f5 right away, but I suspect Jesse would still have been yelling at me to wait on c5. No, I mean, your opponent played passively, right? 2 moves passively, c3, bishop e2. And the whole thing about this e5 variation that white needs to understand is white needs to understand that black is aiming for an improved French with the bishop outside the pawn chain, which you are now going to get, right? And has to use the fact that you're taking 2 moves to go from c6 to c5, i.e. has to use time. Did not use time, right? So now you get an improved French and have every right to hope for a better game. Good move. Good move. A little weird. But this might be playable. Let me just say, I'm sure this is playable. A move that makes more sense to me would be bishop g4 to enable knight f5. Okay? But I think I'm okay with this. After the game, I looked over what Irvin Lomis recommends in this position. It's hard for me to imagine this being a theoretical position just because white's played it so badly here. But I also note in the Dojo course in the lines recommended by Jesse, the knight also finds its way to c5. Maybe c4 is what's meant. Bishop g4, bishop e3, knight f5. So that's what I was mentioning. And then also h6 is a thought too. Okay, but this is okay. You're doing fine. And this bishop d3, let's call it soft, right? Because it's like white is not understanding that they need to do something. The clock is ticking because black has this amazing structure now without the bad bishop. So you say, thank you very much. G3, I definitely don't agree. I think black is, I'd rather be black here. Castles, king g2. Maybe a little fancy, but I don't get it. Now, f6, I don't understand f6 now, though, because your knight went to c8, boss. Your knight went to c8. Would you now want to go knight v6? Right? So let's talk about f6 a little bit. This is your main concern. You're the one who did it, by the way. Jamil's going like crazy. I got to turn the sound off or something, or exit the game. He's going to lose on time. He loses on time all the time. So with f6, you got to understand, usually the bishop is here, and then it has a use of guarding this pawn, which will then be weak after you play f6. I don't get it why we're doing f6 in this position. We don't. For example, a lot of times we need f6, we're going to activate the rook, or we're going to laterally engage our queen. Right, so we got to fix a knight. We got to fix a knight. And play might continue b3 to stop us from going here, and then a5, and we have ourselves an interesting battle. Black wants to play on the queen side. Okay, here we go. Knight e2, interesting. In general, white does not want to trade pieces because you are have a lack of space. I'm not sure about that move. Okay, good. B3, and now the guy gets real frisky with bishop A7. That is a little controversial. Okay. Now, something here, Matt, that I want to stress is you're doing a lot of great prose annotations, and we want to be careful not to be, let's say, deliberately avoiding the tactical questions. And you do have some real tactical questions here. For example, is B6 winning? Maybe not, but we got to ask, right? And on bishop A3, it's an interesting move, but right, I want to ask about B6. I want to know. Okay, bishop A3. And how do we feel about this position? Do we feel you're worse? You know? By the way, I want to go back just a second because it went like this. You played knight B6, bishop E3. And in principle, I'm totally fine with knight C4. But if you are about to get whacked with B3, then we need to rethink it. Right? Yeah. So, you know, we don't have to do it immediately. We could play queen D7. We have other moves here as well. So, for example, here, it's very plausible to me that we have a better move than rook C8. Maybe we don't, but I'm just saying it's plausible to me that we do. In which case, we want to do something before this B3 starts getting after us, you know? Yeah, because all of a sudden, we might actually be worse. In this position, I don't think we're worse. Maybe we are. So French positions are very interesting. They're very interesting because besides the knight, which is funky, right? You're doing fine. Notice, too, it would be good for you if this pawn were here and this pawn were here. So the F6 thing didn't help. Okay, let's continue. So again, for the next time, put more variations. Good. And that's a frisky move there, queen E3. Boom. Okay. Okay. Big question. Okay, D4 is a cool looking move. However, there's a key tactical question I think that needs to be asked after D4. Strategically, the problem is we're putting the pawn on a dark square, and so we're losing our light square control. Right? We don't want to put the dark pawn on the same color of the bishop. So then tactically, whatever you want to call it, this is the move I need to talk about. I don't know if you have a great response to that. See, I'm worried. Because see, you cut your bishop's retreats possibilities over here. And in this position, I'm not sure you have anything big time to worry about. The default move could be rook c6, for example. But after d4, queen e4 looks kind of rough. All right, queen e2, and now rook f5. So queen e4 would prevent the tactics that you're trying to do with knight e6 and queen d5. So he goes passive. Now you're again in the driver's seat. Okay, rook a8. Finally. He figures it out. Now, let me just say something. This looks correct to me. I just do not want the queen to be getting to this square. It's too centralized and strong. So good move. And now I would call this a mess. Good move. Okay, here we go. So now we get this endgame. Hard to judge. Hard to judge what's going on here. Dude plays b4. I don't know about that move. Because his rooks aren't organized to support the b pawn yet. So definitely the first candidate move would be knight c5, just to be like, boss, don't you have to go passive now after knight c5, you know? And then he can consider f4, knight e4, got all kinds of stuff like that to build the position. So this looks wrong. In principle, I like that move. And now you talk about bishop d2. So king f3, exclam. Notice too, this is all about your lack of control of the light squares. So I got some more questions here. Wasn't it for us to now play here and win the business? So like that was why I didn't understand b4. You played rook a3 and you know, you could just play rook b8 and win the pawn. Okay, king f3 looks like a good move. I think you're in a little trouble here. Because see, he's got the nice light square blockade now. And his king's better than your king. And it definitely feels like a bad check. Yeah, definitely now. King e4, bad move. King g2. Do over. Okay. Now you played rook b6. But can't you play bishop d2? Isn't that what we want? To win the pawn? It'll still be complicated. But here, like, here he figures it out, unfortunately. Oh, I don't know, g4. He's played king e4. He's not figuring out the king e4 thing. Okay. Okay. And you say this is a clear advantage for white. During the game, I thought I was much worse with white steamrolling on the king side. But I was at least happy with their b pawn was gone. Now, you did want to take the pawn. One thing I'll stress here is just that notice that this d4 commitment with the dark square bishop killed it. So it'd be much better if we could have this pawn on d5, right? An interesting position. You might be lost here. I definitely think that if you allow rook b7, you're going to be lost. Yeah, so it's difficult. All right, so here we go. White has to be very precise now. Okay, again, by the way, you know, let me just say something. Okay, I forgot about this. When we go back to the time spent, can we just acknowledge this? White isn't thinking at all, dude. Look at this. I'm spending more time thinking about White's moves than they are, buddy. I'm thinking more about White's moves than they are. This is some complicated stuff. Okay, Matt, so I'm glad you're here in the chat. Very simple advice. This is hell of complicated, okay? Hell of complicated. I don't know if you're lost here. It would require some variations. It really would. So for right now, this is a big critical moment. My big question in terms of analysis would be pop, pop, and pop. Am I getting around in time? What can white do to me? These are the questions. I don't see immediately something that he can do to me, but it's definitely scary, you know. One nice feature is knight b4 looks hell of scary, but I can then play rook b1. So these are the kinds of things to give a variation with. Good move by white. It's at least scary. I don't know what that does. He takes the pawn. He doesn't need to. You give him a little check. Now, honestly, white needs to, like, dude, they're just gaining time here. What was this, like 60 plus 30? Yeah. So they're just gaining time. It's psychologically really fascinating, right? These players, they literally just can't, when it comes to the end game, they're like, boss, I don't know what to do. I got to move. I just feel the need to move. I got to do it. So here we go. And then a full blunder, knight c5. The guy, he's incapable of thinking. He's incapable of thinking. Here we would want a variation here. So I think knight f2 is the big question. And it truly looks evil with knight g4 coming. However, there are some mild hopes that you could play like here, and then if knight g4, start checking him to death. Does it work? These are the things you got to figure out. Yeah, these are the things. Okay, so he blows it, and he resigned. And you're absolutely right. Like the guy didn't think. He resigns. Yeah, and you're right to analyze this. This is, who knows what's happening here. Who knows? You have to win. If you're going to win, you have to win the f4 pawn. And that's going to be really hard. Yeah. Okay, so good analysis. And one of the things I just want to point out to everybody, okay, is what is going on in these online games is people don't have the stamina to think. And in general, when we look at this, like the dojo players are doing much better than their opponents, hence winning here, right? They have anxiety. I think it has a lot to do with anxiety. You're sitting at your computer screen, yada, yada. Once the end game comes, the end game is about calculation. You got to start thinking, and it should show up in our variations too. These people are done. They're like, oh, the romance of the game is done for me, man. I'm done. I'm just going to check out. And then you're going to lose a piece like knight c5. Yeah. So mat chess, great. And I think, you can see what the next progress for you would be, right? What the next progress would be. And the main thing would be to do more variations and analysis in these positions. Okay, well done. Boom. Let's go next. We have Seblak. Although I find it extremely hard to look back and cringe at my overwhelming stupidity. Don't beat yourself up. I do it too, but just, it doesn't help. I finally managed to convince myself to be more diligent with annotating my games, and I've actually quite enjoyed it. Beautiful. My feeling is personally that a lot of times it's very hard for me to start an analysis session, but it's a little bit like running or exercise when you don't want to do it. It's just like after 5 minutes, you're like, I'm in. I'm in. This is a great thing. Totally happy I'm doing it. But like that first little moment, dude, when you're like getting there, oh, that can be hard. The lack of temptation to turn on the engine when analyzing on this platform is really something I didn't know I needed, but I feel the engine really kills the fun of it. Looking forward to, absolutely, to doing more of that, and hopefully I can persuade myself to be more sociable with other members soon as well. Great. All right, let's check out Seblak here. Boom. 1541, we'll give him a follow. 20 years old with an IT addiction. Look at the rating. He's done the tactics test, crushing the tactics test. Oh, this is great, man. I just want to say, as a moment of satisfaction for me, we put these things together. We're still working on it. And it's just so cool that now, with anybody, I can look at this tactics rating. And I think, especially in a month or two, when I look at these tactics ratings and people have done a bunch of tests, that the numbers here will be really reflective of where people are at. Dojo Liga Classical, absolutely, yeah. And I was just, oh my God, it's still a quick story. So I was watching my student play this game, and he's obsessed with the 30-minute pool on ChessCom. He's like 2,000 ChessCom. And the kid is playing so many cheaters. And this one cheater, like he's playing him, and he's this playing like the first 14 moves, like 3,300 level. 3,300 level. He then in chat is like, dude, if you don't stop using the engine, I'm going to report you. The level drops instantly to 400. It wasn't like somebody boosting themselves a couple other points. It was like this person had no idea how to play chess. All of a sudden, the pieces were flying all kinds of different directions, dude. They were hanging stuff. Oh my God. Oh my God. It was humorous, but also like very disturbing. Okay, let's look. Clubs. No. Activity. We got a bunch. Nice. Quite a bit. So 88 hours to achieve this. Nice macro distribution. Let's look at some games here. Well done. Okay. This looks like OTB. Maybe not. So first I'm going to do this, and then we're going to look at the clock. Let's see. Round 2, after 2 wins in a row. This is probably the best game I played in this tournament. Okay, so it looks like an OTB game. Fine. Good. Well, knight g2 can't be wrong. Okay, h6. I was paused after h6 because I think it's probably okay, but it has long-term consequences for black to make this minor weakness. Bishop h4, bishop e6, f3. I would have castled first, but okay. e8, castles, knight d7, and now queen c2. Okay, good. Knight f8. I don't particularly like the way my opponent played the opening. It now just seems really hard to find moves, as the knight cannot come to g6 in most cases, and the whole black position just seems a bit like a clogged toilet. Skippy toilet! Now you talk about c5, okay, but if they're going to play c5, they should have done it in one move, right? And it's good you analyze it, though. This, by the way, is a structure you could get quite a bit and get good at it. It's definitely, we call this the Carlsbad structure, but especially with the bishop d3, knight e2 setup, something Kasparov really showed to be great. And you're absolutely right that if he plays it this way, then h6 isn't making any sense, right? Okay. One cool thing I feel like I understand about this position is if he can't trade this thing off, then it's a real bummer. So I know, for example, that the simple bishop f2 is going to give you a nice game. f3 is killing this knight. And of course, the big question is a little bit more tactical, is can you get away with e4? So let's see what you say on the next notation. Rook 81. Good move. Good move. Knight h5. I don't know. Bishop f2. Excellent positional understanding. Okay, excellent. We do not want to trade. And the bishop is surprisingly effective on bishop f2. King h1. GM level move, boss. Oh, GM level. So why is this a good move? Because when we go e4, pop, pop, knight g4, we want to have this bishop g1 available to us. And also, black just doesn't know what they're doing. Okay, bishop g1, I agree with you. e4 would have been stronger. c5. Good move. Now, this is a little bit desperation on black's part, but it is what is required. Okay, now, you played dc5, and the thing about dc5 is you're doing it because you're saying to yourself, I want that isolated queen pawn. But now it's not clear that you do. This knight, for example, can come back and then come to either of these squares after you take. So in the old Kasparov games, the genius thing that he did was he just let it sit there. And I think, first of all, if we had played e4 a move earlier, it would have been much better. Second of all, now probably knight f4 or knight g3 are the moves that we need to be looking at. I guess knight g3 is my first intuition. Could we consider e4 here? You could consider it. Okay, but what I'm trying to say is now black might be alive, might be okay. Good move. Queen c5 might be better just because of this move. You take, okay. Rook c1. Okay. 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 Rook e8. No one understands. So one of the things we see at this level is people don't appreciate their bad pieces. This guy needs to come back. That's got to be the move. And here he has chances to maybe hold on because your bishop isn't doing it yet, right? Okay. So rook e8. I don't like bishop b1. So if I was going to move the bishop, then it would be bishop c2 intending bishop b3, right? Okay. You take. This was a necessary step, but I've spent far too long on this move. If the g6 knight were to make it to e5, black would probably have equal chances to hold. Now with the shattered pawns, however, this becomes unpleasant. It's an interesting question how unpleasant it is. Okay, one thing I want to say. Once you commit the bishop to b1, it has little scope. That's why bishop c2 to b3 made a lot of sense. When you take, in this position, I'm like, well, maybe because the bishop isn't doing anything. But black at least has a dream now of the bishops being reasonable. Nota bene that black must fix this knight, right? It's dominated by the pawn. He's got to figure out a plan to fix it. d4. Intuitively, I like f7 better. d2. Okay. 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 Okay, good. I'm lacking your positional play. This makes no sense. So black needs a plan. And one of the reasons I didn't like the bishop going to d7 is he's not giving himself the chance to fix it. Even if black sacked the pawn on d5, as long as those bishops could get active and the knight could do something, we could dream. But notice, anyways, ugly. And now you played a3. And let's read what you write. This was a completely unnecessary move, and later on I would have loved to be able to bring that pawn back where it came from, because later on, when black starts bringing the knight over to c4, I'd rather have the a pawn back on a2. Okay. I think you're yelling at yourself for the wrong reason. You need to yell at yourself here because the problem with a3 is that you're losing time, right? It's a question of time. So this move makes a lot of sense. You want to trade off, this is their good bishop, and it needs to go. They shouldn't trade it, but what have we done? We have dramatically increased the scope of our bishop, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do on the next move, right? Maybe knight f4 followed by knight d3, for example. All right, a3. What is he doing? He's not fixing the knight. What should he be doing? He should be thinking about knight d7. Yeah. When you give somebody a funky move, Mark, yourself as well, tell us what you think you should have done. Okay. Oh, poor move. Very poor move. Giving up the dark squares. Knight d7, finally. Knight e5. b3, good move. Bishop d7. Now, you talk about bishop g3 being a poor move. But I think it looks good to me. One thing I want to stress about this kind of position is, in general, if we're going to win it, we need to keep the rooks on the board. It's very hard to win without the rooks. Now, maybe, given also the shattered pawns, we have other reasons. Also, the obvious thing, it would be good for you to write this out loud here on your notations too, would be to say, boss, what's peculiar about this position is that we have the opposite color bishops. And that does not mean it's going to be a draw, but it means that you have the initiative on the dark squares and he has it on the light squares. It's a major bummer that he traded off his good bishop and is left with the bad bishop, which is hemmed in by all of his white pawns. I can't believe bishop g3 is wrong. I cannot. I cannot believe it's wrong. And you talk about knight c6, but you're definitely better after knight c6. You were able to keep the rooks on the board. King f6. Now you really like this bishop e5 move. Okay, it definitely makes your life a little easier. The move that I would want to investigate here for you would be, what is happening on rook c7? What's happening on that move? Yeah, that's the move I'd want to examine, right? Okay, I'll leave that to you, though. That's a very interesting move. Looks very powerful. As long as black doesn't have any kind of tactical shot here, then I think that is what we would like to do. So bishop e5. Good. And now he goes into this bad endgame. Oh, this is interesting. So my sense of this position is that when I was a kid, I was so into the isolated queen pawn that I was like, white's got to be better. Nowadays, I'm not nearly as convinced, especially after the rooks are off the board. Why do we want the rooks on the isolated queen pawn? Because they can hammer a dude here. They can set up all kinds of pins and make it really difficult. But now the pawn's actually going to be kind of hard to get to. Okay, but your position's interesting because they have this additional problem over here, which maybe we can work with. So the question would be, like, how do we feel about the position here with the pawn on f7? I guess then I would call that very holdable for black. My intuition, anyway. Okay, king e2. The first thing I would do is play h4, because black should really strive to put their pawns on the dark squares. Yeah, on the dark squares, right? And h4 would really make g5 look a little bit ugly if they played it. Maybe they should play it anyway, but that's obviously a concession if they do. All right, king e2, they should play g5. Ooh, bishop f5. Bad form. Bad form. Yeah, there's no business. No business. It needs to go to d7. Okay. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust you. Well, you should look deeper into it, but in general, I would say it should be a draw. Okay? That's just my experience of that kind of position. Okay? Uh-huh. All right, so let's just talk about it from black's perspective. Black should want to put the pawns on the dark squares and sit. And you need to find a way through. So let's just say from here you've kind of done the normal things, you know, and now we need to find a way through. You play b4. This would be a great opportunity to analyze this thing in depth. I think knight e2 really should be looked at. Okay, so b4, b6, finally, good move. f4, interesting. Let's see what your idea is. b5. Oh, buddy. Oh, man. No understanding of the game, dude. Yeah, sorry, kid. Yeah, that was nasty. Welcome to the dojo. I hope you told him that after that, dude. I hope you told him welcome to the dojo after that. I know it's over. You still got to win it, I guess. You play 93. A little bit short of time. Yeah, you've got some variations that look good. And then your FG, G4 looks great too. Yeah, that would be the default. Go win the H pawn, the G pawn, and then talk to him after that. So now he got to fix some of his stuff. I don't know. Doesn't feel right. F5 definitely feels right. That doesn't feel right. Look, he's obsessed with putting his pawns on the wrong color. Okay, you've definitely lost the thread a little bit. And he allowed you to do that. He could have put his bishop on e4. Good move, good move. Goodbye. Okay, so interesting game. I hopefully, one thing that's cool about that is you had a little bit of a sense of what you were looking for in the end game. Definitely an example of a position that arose out of a typical thing that you'll see in the middle game, right, in your opening. So we could call that an example of from the opening to the end game. Yeah, and I think there was a lot to look in it. One thing I would encourage you to do is to look at more variations, right? So like rook c7, is that winning, And then hopefully the stuff about the pawn color, you get some stuff out of that, That's good. That's a lesson that will keep, you can use that one again and again. I did a video called Capablanca's rule about that. It's on our site. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go back. Next up, we have Mr. Lamb. Bestie Boots, afternoon. So, Mr. Lamb says, I had my best and most consistent performance yet, winning clear first at my club's 1 game a week classical tourney with a score of 4.5 out of 5. Nice, dude. I think a big chunk of my progress is thanks to analyzing my own games rigorously, trying to focus on searching wide but not too deep, and evaluating all positions in the analysis. Nice. I've also focused on making my annotations clear and coherent for others, which I think has translated to me having greater clarity in my own calculations and evaluations OTB. That is precisely the spirit of the dojo. I also spent a good deal of time drilling Polgar mates, which I feel helped me gain a better grip on piece coordination and efficient calculation. Also spirit of the dojo. Very grateful to all the people who I've analyzed or sparred with. Shout out to Nose for a great coaching analysis session, which helped cement the importance of evaluation and breadth over depth and calculation. One final thought. Even when my progress in the rating department felt like it was stalling, thankful to the dojo community for still making the process of learning and training fun and reminding me that progress is non-linear. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. All right, here we go. So this is Mr. Lamb. Let's see, tactics. Hasn't done the Polgar mate test yet, but had a great result with the tactics test. Okay, so we got clubs, Toronto, CFC. There we go. So cool. We have people all over the place. All right, I do this every show. Mr. Lamb, you got some people in Toronto there? And I know maybe you don't, maybe there's not a formal chess club. It's different from city to city. But if you could get a couple people together and form like a chess team, a team, I know it's weird as adults to have a team in both the United States and Canada. But if you had a team like in the European sense, you train together and stuff, you put yourself on, get yourself a scoreboard here at the dojo, you'd see where everybody stood. Then you'd start doing in real life training, sparring sessions, Oh my gosh. All right, here we got this activity. It's looking very strong. Good macros. Let's look at a game here. So I have a feeling this is the tournament that we're talking about. And markets reviewed. And I'm going to guess that Mr. Lamb put the times in manually, which is fine. And probably theory or something up to move 10. Let's see here what we're dealing with. So yeah, what do we, 50 plus 20, I guess. Okay. Pop. And correct. The only thing you really need to know is that on E5, you can play D5. Good. I can't be wrong. And now we do this. Bang! Whew, it's getting hot. Boom. 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 Fancy. Boom. 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 Oh my gosh. All right, both sides playing pretty fast here. Okay. So, so we gotta say, pretty high level opening theory stuff. One thing, you play E5, you're gonna get people with their little pet lines like this guy. So one of the things we do say at the dojo is, don't study openings until 1200. And then when you do, make your first focus a response to E4, because E4 is the most concrete, where you're going to need to know a little bit, especially if you play E5, some of these lines, right? And one thing that's interesting, of course, is you could have played, like maybe Queen A5 is the better move or whatever, but you probably, both people now are just making it up as they go along. All right, so he plays the knight EG5, and you just say, I'm out of here, boss. Good. Pop, 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 and you say that you are clearly better in this position. Interesting. I'm just thinking. I guess it's true. I can imagine White getting to this position and being like, I'm okay, bud. I'm all right. But we have two simple ideas to dislodge the knight. One to just play rook F8 and take it, and the other to play G5, G4 someday. So White needs a good move right now and plays bishop D2. And we're saying, I guess we're threatening bishop takes H2. Oh, this is rough, man. Rook E1 is another move. Queen E2 is another move. One unfortunate thing with Queen E2, just as an example, look at this one. Bam! 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 That's how fast it can end, my friends. Whew, man. Oh, buddy. That's rough. Okay. You played rook HF8. It's hard to imagine that is wrong. He needs a good move. H3. Okay. And now you played queen D5. Just looking. What am I looking at? I'm trying to make some kind of G5 work. That's what I'm trying to make work. And one interesting thing about this position is Would it have made sense to play g5 now? It's very spicy. So if we imagine bishop g5, rook over, and bishop f6 would be the first thing to worry about, but then queen g4, and I'm tagging all of his coconuts. So anyways, I'll just leave it there. I think g5 looks pretty compelling because you want to get rid of the knight. And the bummer with this move is all of a sudden it's not clear how we get rid of the knight. We got to get rid of the knight. Got it. That thing's got to go. All right, so you play here. Queen e2. Yeah, you talk about rook e1, rook e2. Those look more circumspect. Rook takes f3. Oh, wow. Dude, how can you how can you be rated only this low and finding these moves, dog? Okay. So he plays rook d6. Wow, this is a great game, man. It's a great game. So rook d6, rook d6, queen f3. We're just gonna believe that gf, you can't play chess like that. And now we got this end game where we gotta ask, how bad is it? Okay, here we go. 95. Okay. Check. King h2. Okay, so I just want to say, the interesting thing to me about this position is, I don't know if there was an improvement for you earlier. You did all very logical things. But here, it's not clear to me that it's that bad for white. Yes, he's down a pawn and all that. But right, exactly. If we imagine this position, what do we think? Do we think it's like crispy critters? No, right? Because it's just one weakness. Imagine to win an endgame, we need two weaknesses. The one weakness is he's down a pawn. But other than that, he doesn't have really a substantial second weakness. Anyways, that would be interesting. He goes king h2. Knight f5, and you go steal the bishop now. Okay, good. I like it. Rook e4, that looks superficial. c5, good move. King g2, oh, rook e6. But rook e6 is the end right now. Isn't rook e6 the end? Rook e6 is the end. Okay, so I think rook e6, we need to talk about it. Now, you're saying that he's done here. Okay, maybe. Maybe. G4, good move. Now, B4 to me is an example of somebody who is playing on their weaker side and is just actually helping you. He's helping you make passed pawns and stuff. Now, let's think about this. So let's think white's claim, rook e6 I think is much easier, but your claim with rook f6 might still be true. So you're going to say, we're going to play here and here and here, and we're just saying, Baus, it's over. It's over. It might be true. Kind of white needs to do something pronto, right? Anyways, it looks bad. That wasn't it. Good move. That wasn't it. Rook f7. We wanted to do that anyway. Thank you. You're making superficial threats. Good move. King c4. Oh, dang, dude. Take it easy. Well played, dude. Well played. Oh, there we go. Chess is, look at this. Oh, buddy, it's rough. He doesn't even try to bring his king in closer. He's just like, I'm done with that. Dang, dog. That was a good game, man. You know, that was I want to say that's a very high level game. I want to feature that game. Oh, wait. I used to be able to feature the games, and now I can't do it so easily. That was a great game, dude. That was like, was it GM level? I guess. Yeah. Well, it's just, you know. He played his pet line. You killed him. And I had maybe a different suggestion besides Rook HF8. We talked about maybe the end game he could have held and stuff. But I mean, that was a strong level sauce, boss. That was some very strong level sauce. Yeah. Okay. And I think Matt is in the chat. Matt, dude, that was a great game, dude. That was a great game. Okay. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to copy the PGN or the URL. And I'm going to post this to Discord because we're just going to celebrate. I'm going to celebrate how you crushed this person. Yeah. This is Mr. Lamb. Let me just put a shout out here because that was great, man. I'm going to go check out Mr. Lamb's end game tech, just overall GM level game. That's what we're going to call it. All right, dude. I mean, these 1500s, dude, they're getting stronger, man. They're getting stronger. They go like have deep theoretical understanding, man. They got like deep endgame technique. Oh man. And like but for example, that Rook E6, I thought maybe that was easier, but Rook F6 was definitely, and you had a plan too. You knew exactly how it was going to go down. So that was amazing. Dojo's coming next level, dude. Look what he's saying about evaluating the positions. Well, this guy's clearly, he's going up, man. He's going up. All right, next up we got Banki John. I experienced a huge chess fatigue the last 3 months. Until the beginning of February, I played and trained a lot and probably too much. I don't know why, but I suddenly lost almost all interest in the game and haven't played a single game online since. Signed up for a classical tournament starting in February, before getting burned out. It's a 9-round classical, and I played the final round today, scoring 7.5 out of 9. Haven't animated all the games yet, but please take a look at the game I played in March against FIDE 1547. Okay. So I'm recovering from my chess fatigue and hopefully be back on track soon. All right, let's click on him. I have a couple thoughts on chess fatigue. So, before joining Dojo, had never played anything longer than 25-5. Replay splits with longer. Nice. Now, Scandinavia, Europe, don't tell me Scandinavia, bud. You know, you're in Finland, you're in Sweden. Where'd you go? You're in one of those countries. Okay. So, this is probably where they hit the chess fatigue and stopped playing entirely. It looks like they could have graduated earlier, but then didn't. It's kind of weird. It says 14, 15, but anyways, dude's higher up. Got a nice tactics rating. Did the Polgar test. And at the end of this month, there'll be, for the under 1,500 crowd, there'll be a test for them too. Okay. So one theory I have on burnout, and this doesn't apply to, this is any kind of thing, not just chess, is that when you are making progress and it's noticeable, you're not going to feel like you're getting burned out. Where it's going to feel like burnout is when you're really cranking it and you're not seeing any results right away. I think in any endeavor in life, that's when it's going to feel like a grind, dude. It's just going to be like, oh, man, this sucks, you know? Yeah. So that's just my little 2 cents. Okay, here we go. Clubs. No clubs. Activity. Lots of work being done by Banki John. And I'm going to go down one cohort. 229 hours being done. fantastic. I think so many players have really done it well here where they're not doing a lot of opening, right? Great, great. And that is the dojo way, especially for this cohort of 1400. Now that you're a little higher, you can do a couple more hours, you know. I think tonight, actually, I'm going to come on. Tonight, I'm usually exhausted, but that's a good opportunity for me to do some opening work. I'm going to try to come back later and do some opening work, just of my own. Okay, let's check out Banky John over here. And, ooh, I think he said 1547, right? From March. There we go, yeah. So, boom. And Piffle Sticks is commenting, okay? Piffle Sticks, dude, you know, we're gonna check him out because he is on his journey. You know, he quit his job and everything. He's got a journey, and I haven't heard much of him. And so anyways, we'll check in on Piffle Sticks. Okay, so here we go. Fine. A little weird, of course, but this is all kind of known. A little funky. Okay. So, right, he's worried about bishop f5, queen b5. Queen d3, by the way, just a weird move. And maybe c6 might not even be that bad, but if you want to play bishop f5, play knight c6 first. Okay, so now you're making it easier on white. Queen d2, h6, and now this is just an awful move. Yeah, of course they should play bishop f4. You know, and let's laugh at them a little bit. When I laugh, I do it in a spirit of joy. I don't do it just to hate on people because I know that I make dumb moves too sometimes, okay? But this person has spent a considerable amount of time learning this Trumpovsky thing with h4. Maybe it's a chessable course, I don't know. And then they're going to play moves like this. And there might even be some weird chessable variation that has a bishop e3 in it somewhere, and that could have tricked the guy into thinking that that's where the bishop wanted to go, even though this is, of course, a totally novel situation, right? If this dude had just been in the dojo, followed the principles, you play bishop f4 without thinking, right? Come on. Good move. Okay, castling long, frisky. f3. Okay, I don't like h5, of course. It's not the dojo way. One thing that we should say is opposite sides castling. You haven't castled yet, though, and that's to your advantage. So in your annotations, I think a good variation to consider for you would be knight d7, because that's where it wants to go. g4, bishop h7. This thing is a beast. And I don't know and then your next move should be what you're afraid of here. Okay, I don't know what it is you're afraid of, but let's just put in g5. G5, you could play h5 now. Then he can't break you. But also, we're going to start talking to him, see? We're going to really start getting frisky inside of them. Don't talk like that, Kraai. You know what I'm saying, though, right? It's going to get a little hot for him. And we just have a great attack on their king. Horrendous. a5, weird. I want you to play knight d7. No one knows. Okay, I kind of like it. That's a frisky move. What that move says is, hey, boss, your bishop on h3 is kind of a chump, and my bishop is amazing. And it's true. Weird. Knight d7, good. Bishop e4. Okay. The problem with knight b6 is you have to evaluate knight e5, I think. Right? Yeah. And it's interesting. We could continue the variation like that and ask ourselves, what do we think is happening? I'm not 100%. I don't know. It's complicated for me too. Well, maybe actually we throw in that move first. Bang. I don't know. In any case, knight e5 is the one we got to worry about when we play knight b6. Here. Now, so we've transposed. You talk about knight g5, maybe. Makes sense, because actually, right. So now, though, knight g5 makes more sense because he's touching your coconut on e4. Good move. That looks weak. f5, breaking open the center. Good. Great notes. Now you play b5. I would want to look at queen d5. Good. Queen d5 makes more sense to me. We're threatening bishop b4, though, so we're really talking to him now. Oh, buddy. Oh, that wasn't it. Well, let's just say he's created himself a real problem here. Maybe queen e1 or something. It really set himself up. And now let's just talk about it. You have the initiative against the king. And that's what it's all going to be about here. That isn't it. And you like bishop a3 better. I'm going to go ahead and say he's completely lost here. And I don't like c takes b3. So isn't he completely done if I play bishop b4 and then c3? Well, is he going to go here? I don't know. I don't know where he's going. Oh, this is done. Game over. Game over. If queen b2, for sure, I play both queen e7 or c3. I don't know. He's on the lockdown. But this one, now you're still doing great, but now his queen might live. I agree with you. Something like queen b2. Good move. He's just losing time everywhere. b4. I mean, you're doing great. Terrible. Boom. That's pretty evil, dude. That's an evil move. Let's show his tactic. He's talking about, let's say, pop, 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 whack! Also, pop, 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 whack, whack, whack. He's got it all in there, too. Nice. Okay. Yeah, this is crispy critters. Oh, buddy, be nicer. Be nicer. You don't got to be so cruel. Okay. Okay, so well done. And yeah. So that was Banki John, who has graduated second time. Great. And now we have Dagger. Whenever I see somebody with zero work, it's often somebody who hasn't actually, or maybe just joined the dojo, doesn't quite know what's going on. I don't know. Anyways, we got 1403. Yeah, this person just got here. No games. Yeah, so let's close that out. But Dagger, if you're listening to me, Bows, next time we'll do this. All right, Corrosive Scarab, doing a lot of work, and has graduated several times before. Real success story. I've really felt my game develop to a newer level in this rating band. I'm feeling pretty good with my progress since I've only been playing for about a year, trying to be patient and let good habits from proper play become second nature. Really enjoyed the Chernev books. I say this on every show recently, but we had the statistical analysis, and that book was the most correlated with gains at this rating level. All right, here we go. Corrosive Scarab. Boom. Actor with a love of labor-intensive games, and here we are. Okay. So, he made it to 1,300. Look at that graph, dude. There's a dojo success story. Tactics. Oh, he's doing well. Doing well. So, what I think this tells us is that Corrosive's tactics rating is a little stronger than his actual rating. Okay, so maybe we can say something that when we get to the games. Clubs, New York City. I wonder if he's an actor, dude. New York City, on Broadway. Who knows? Who knows? He knows. Maybe he's here. He can tell us. All right. So we're going to see how they did it. And be this cohort, 70 hours of work. It looks great. Okay. Again, dojo way, not too much openings. Games. We got loads. And I think we're going to look at this W.S. Lish, who is, I've never known how to pronounce his name, but is a dojo member. So mark that. Beautiful time graph. We're looking at 1 hour, maybe 1 hour plus 30. So beautiful. Okay. Game where we kept a lot of attention on the board, lost track of a pawn. Okay. Sloppy at the end, a fine opening. Okay. 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 Yeah, knight g4 I think would be superficial because you could play rook e2. You could do a variety of moves here. You know, bishop e3, knight d2, h3. A little funky, but okay. Boom, good. Good move by your opponent. Good move. He needs it more than you do because this knight isn't great on c6, right? Because it's dominated by the pawn. And you smack him. Okay, I think you have a nice position now, right? Even though I like your position better, I kind of admire some of the positional aspects of the way Black played this. One that, actually, up to this point, two things. They fixed the knight on c6, and instead of taking on d4, kept the central pawn on e5. Yeah. Queen e7 is a natural move, but suspect because it's putting it on the same file as the rook. So, Black would like to have something else. Okay. So, Queen e7, and you criticize h3. So, h3 is a natural-looking move. Just look over here. So now, yeah, you guys are starting to think a little bit. And knight f5 definitely looks very nice for you, the natural move or whatever you want to call it. He goes for it, and now I promise you that you need to do more annotations here in this position, because this one's hot. This one's hot. All right, knight f5, queen e8, and you take. Now, this is where your game falls apart. I can see it coming 1,000 miles away, but I want to stress that in general, we don't want to play DE5 because one of the main advantages of your position is that this bishop is locked out. One of the challenges, therefore, of the position is that you need to keep it locked out. You need to be like Baus. I got to make sure nothing bad ever happens over there. Now, the knight is potentially unstable. You have to worry a little bit about moves like d5. This was weird, though, that the queen's here. So any d5 is probably going to get popped because that e file is just staring at us, right? So I'm sure we could talk about this position forever. As a default move, I think queen c2 is good. You hold the line, right? You have control and you hold it. And eventually we want to be looking for a move to kick the knight out of f4. Someday we might take the knight on f4. But that isn't it. And then, of course, as you know, this wasn't it either. Okay, so now we're in trouble. Now you're just getting freaky. Now you're getting freaky. See what? Oh, they didn't have to do that. But okay, knight e5. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and now we're lost, right? Okay, queen f3. I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard life. Good move by black. Okay. Good move. Good. Now he plays rook ad8. All right, so the position's lost, but he needs to be a little careful, right? And rook ad8's probably okay. And unless you're winning something with bishop f6, then I don't think you want to do it. Right? Yeah, because that just helped. That just helped. And here, if he didn't have king g7, he would also have rook d6. King f4. But I don't know what... okay, but rook e2, why are you in the game? You're down all your coconuts. He's going to play rook fe8. You know, he's up the exchange. The rooks are strong people, man. They're really angry people, too. Now he'll be able to find a way in. Okay, so king f4. I think you're blaming, I think you're toast anyway. W.S. Lish is putting a game together here. Okay. So, I think one of the things that you can say here is your opponent, first of all, I feel put together some interesting positional ideas, okay, with not trading on e5, bringing the knight around. You're still better in this position. Then plays the suspect queen e7. Notice it's hard for black. It's hard for black to know exactly, well, what is it that I'm supposed to do, And now it's on you to figure it out. And the interesting thing is, if you don't have a tactical breakthrough, what you need to tell yourself is, right, I am just holding the line. And the thing about queen e7 is it's going to make it harder for him to ever break out, because there's no all the d5s, all the knight f4s. It's always going to be a problem with the rook on e1. So what I'm trying to say is you have yourself an example of space where you need to hold the space. It's very hard to play with space, And h3 isn't, if knight f5 doesn't do anything spectacular, h3 is a fine move. Okay, and then of course, recognize that with DE5, you're positionally losing your mind, and King H2, you're obviously lost it. And it had everything to do, though, with freeing this thing, and that was the dude who eventually killed you, right? He went from chump to champion. He went from chump to champion over here. So, all right. And Abdul's saying GMs play some fancy pants stuff with queen b8, a7, maybe. Okay, it makes sense to me. But in any case, queen e7 is a little bit suspect. Good. So, congratulations. That was Koros's Scarab coming up again. We're seeing some really well-played games. We have Koros's Scarab and then Mr. Lamb, dude, showing how it's done over there. Chahat says, happy to move to the next tier. I mainly attribute this progress to working on how to reassess your chess by Silman, tactics, and opening study on how to play against the Caro Khan. Now, I think that reassess your chess is at a higher level that we've assigned it. I feel pretty confident that that is a higher level than Chahat's 12 to 1300. Maybe I'll double. No, I don't need to double check that. He reached above. He saw the fruit at the top of the tree, and he was like, I'm gonna grab that. Bowes. All right. Thank you, Shirag. All right, here we go. Chahat. 1329, graduated numerous times. Tactics rating, hasn't done the Polgar mate test yet. Clubs, nope. Activity, we got a bunch. Maybe no game analysis. Yeah, games, none. So Chahat, maybe what's going on with Chahat, I'm just speculate here, is that they are kind of doing their own study program. So it sounds like that, like he's working on the opening, doing a book that's at a higher level for the dojo, and not putting in games. So what is my default response here? Trust the program, boss. The high-hanging coconuts. That's right. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'll be right back. My friends, we are back. All right. Pop. Bestie Boots. I forgot. I try to look at the YouTube chat at the same time. In general, I'm just a chat neglector because I'm involved in these games, looking at them and stuff. But if you ask me again what we were talking about when I mentioned the book, I think I mentioned Reassess Your Chess and Irving Cherneff's, I think it was Logical Chess, Move by Move. Those are the ones I mentioned earlier in the show. Oh, thank you, Shirag. Yeah, thank you, man. Talking about this course I did about time for beginner level course. Thinking of doing another one. It takes a lot of work, though. It takes a lot of work. Americom says, I am hitting the graduation button again for the following reasons. Although I haven't played many classical games lately, my rating is still relatively high. You should, by the way, just press the button when you hit the rating. It's not like a calculus. My tactics rating, derived from Puzzle Rush, is also higher. I completed all this stuff. Okay, after 6 months in dojo, chess is finally part of my life, leaving behind the frustrating on and off to the past due to the lack of a coherent improvement plan. I haven't exploited all the benefits yet since my engagement with the community for sparring and playing games is still in the low levels. However, balancing time for family, work, and chess is important, so I'm happy with what I've achieved so far in the program. Okay, so it's really weird, buddy. You're above where you are. You're above where you are. Look, you're 1590 bows. You are 1590. And so it's like he's gradually going up and up. But I don't know. All right. We want you to do the Polgar mate test. You know, for example, here's an example of why you should put yourself in the right cohort. Okay? At 1590, you should be in the 15 to 1600 cohort. That would put you in a position where you should be doing the 1500 plus tactics tests, right? Now, anybody can do those tests, but your program would be like, dude, you need to do these tactics tests, as an example. It would tell you to do the 1500 plus Polgar tests, something you should be doing, right? Different than the below 1500 Polgar test. It will tell you, obviously, the books and stuff. And then when you start sparring with people, well, you know, you don't want to be little bunny foo-foo whacking everybody over the head. You know, you want to be at their level. All right, speech over. Clubs. European, okay. Activity, looking great. And we'll go, I guess we got to go down one. See what they did here. 73 hours of work. I think he's just enjoying the ride. That's fine. He's just going up slowly, enjoying the ride. Okay, so this is Americom against, we're not going to pronounce that name. We'll mark it as reviewed, time. And yeah, this is the dojo way. We're playing against a chump who didn't realize that they signed up for a longer game. You know, they just didn't realize. This will be the great escape. Well, you can escape when they're not thinking. Okay. Nice, dude. Okay, so I thank you very much. I designed this opening for the dojo. It's a beautiful one. So, he sees bishop f4 more commonly. Okay. Good move. Good move. A little frisky. Rook e8, knight e2, h5, exclam. The key idea suggested by the dojo. We claim that the king side is our side of the board and make white fret over h4, h3. Those are my words, dude. And actually, there's a little history behind this, kind of interesting. So the first time that I saw h5, I was like, what? It was mind-blowing to me. And one of the reasons, I like this setup for black for a variety of reasons. But one thing I like about it is this h5 possibility, because you're saying, oh, I've got these beautiful pawns. They might be double, but they're really protecting my king. If white castles long, we're just saying, I'm going to be able to hold that together while I go attack white. Is it very exciting, and will there be double-edged play and mistakes by both sides? Yes. Okay. Anyways, so somebody complained, and they were like, Jesse, this h5 move is too advanced for the players you're doing it for. And no, look at Americom. Playing it, understanding it. Fantastic. Bishop e3, good move. I think a challenge for players that I've seen playing this line is sometimes they will be at a loss of, they'll like want to bring the bishop on c8 out now, but it's not, the bishop doesn't know yet. The knight, however, is our worst piece usually in the Caro-Kann and needs to fix itself. So here we go. Good, beautiful. Bishop f4, and this is a very common mistake. One thing I can say about our dojo openings actually is we have a list of tactics to solve that are derived from the specific openings. And here this rook takes e2 trick that Americom mentions is definitely something we would like to do. Now, Americom here, the most guilty thing that Americom's guilty of here is playing too fast. Okay? So you just instantly played bishop. Actually, I'll take it back. You did think for 3 minutes here. Right. Okay. And I want to stress, it's hard for white to know what to do here. Very difficult. You know, they need to create some drama over there on the king side. And it's just not so easy to know how to do it. Okay, so here we go. We miss our chance. King b1. Queen c7. We're losing time now. So one thing I want to stress is when you have opposite sides castling, you need to be very proactive in thinking about the nature of time. Somebody's going to get the initiative against the king first. So tempo is very important. So queen c7 demanding the trade. White wants to trade too, right? So tempo is going to be very important. So we need to find a way to get after it. And the candidate moves, I think, should be b5, a5. That's my first intuition. You might be able to play bishop d5, but that would entail seeing the rook takes e2 trick, because that would be part of the idea behind bishop d5. Part of the idea of b5 is really twofold. Someday I might play b4 to open him up, but also someday I might play bishop d5 to say, I'm going to sit there, bud. You know, I'm going to sit there. Okay, so we lose a tempo. Looks superficial. And now you go here. When you don't like a move, tell us which move you do like, right? Yeah, I think bishop g4 looks annoying, for example. Oh, and this is the right spirit of things. Don't like it, you're losing time. Yeah, you need to think about b5 or something. Okay, and we gave him the pawn. Queen d5, good move, queen d5. And let's say this about this knight h5 move. This guy's not thinking. He's playing online, and he's like, oh, I got a free pawn. Now, if you were playing a 3-0 blitz game, maybe you'd take the pawn. But, boss, you're playing a game where somebody's just handing it to you? Now, take a moment. Maybe they're not quite just handing it to you, buddy. You know, take a moment. There's nothing, I don't have, people, I heard that somebody else tell me that I don't like the Caro. There's nothing wrong with the Caro. Ooh, we got to talk about this, though. b3 is a blunder, and we at least need to investigate a4, because it comes with a dirty shot. right? Because AB is a hell of a drug. So we needed to think about that. Yeah, A4 looks. Walla walla la la. Walla walla. Looks like we're getting him. Okay, Queen H5. Rook E6. Well, and also notice that rook has a role on the A file. White doesn't know what he's doing. And that's horrendous, yeah. What are we doing? B4 looks plausible. And I need you to see, too, that you need to start thinking about how to rage this guy. He's just given you a lot of time. And in our annotations, too, we want to talk about it. C5 looks interesting. Looks real interesting. Let's open him up. Yeah, that's bad news. Now I'm frightened. And now we survived this game somehow. I don't know how he did it, man, but let's go on the Great Escape. There we go. Well. Got him. Look at this guy. He didn't think at all. Americom, that's the way we do at the dojo. If you're not going to think, buddy, we're going to waste you. All right. I don't like that. I don't have any problem with any of these positions, my friends. McTinter. Here we go. We got 4 more left. These two maybe not, or might not be real. We'll see in a second here. So this is McTinter, 1205, follow. Look at the tactics rating, hasn't done it yet. Let's get it going. So, clubs, European, all right. Boom. All right. Games. We got one game. The Tintinator. The Tintinator. Oh, that isn't it. Okay, so I think Mr. Tinter just recently came to the dojo, has done a little bit of stuff, hasn't annotated any games yet. That's okay. We're going to hope for next time. For next time that Mr. McTinter will have some of that done. Might be the same with these two. No, actually, I recognize this icon here. So let's just see what's going on here. So 1236 needs to get the Polgar, needs to do a bunch of stuff here. Got a USCF rating. Okay. Clubs, no. Activity, games, no. So we don't know what's going on with this player, as remembered from last time. This person might be similar. 1138. We'll give him a follow. No tactics done. Activity, nothing. Games, nothing. Maybe just joined. And actually, you see that right here, 512. So I don't know what it is about our UI, but a lot of people get to the dojo and then I don't know if they're hitting the graduation button. I don't know, but something goes down that makes them hit the graduation button. Okay. So Cam says, don't have to review my profile. I am just returning to the dojo after some time off. Updates look great. I look forward to the grind. Okay. Okay, we'll leave it there then. Maybe I'll check one thing. People can submit games. I'm going to refresh. And I'll look at the Sensei game review queue. Nobody has done it, so I'm clear there. I try to just check in on that. If you want us to look at a game, you can. You can even specify which chump GM or IM you want to have look at your game. Great. And that's it for me, man. That's it for me. That was a good stream.